Okay, awesome. Okay, so today's Civic Tech short will be on Sentry. Um, okay, so I recently worked on some integration of Sentry into the Civic app, and today's focus is essentially a primer on Sentry and also touching on what we want to work towards with Civic and Sentry together. Why do systems need app monitoring? So, as an app scales, it's very unrealistic for developers to catch all the errors. So, application monitoring software can be really useful because it allows for problems to be escalated quickly. And also, certain software can point to where that error could be. Sentry specifically is used as a full stack app monitoring software, so it can handle both front end and back end. It's used by a lot of people, over 4 million developers. It helps with not only alerts and observability, but also helps developers like us work towards resolutions. And it started out as open source software, which is really cool. This is just taken from the Sentry docs. It's basically what the dashboard UI looks like. You have all your issues here, and they're sorted. The color is basically just different types of errors, and you can click on each of these to gain more information. I'll provide an actual example a little bit later in the talk. How does Sentry work? So essentially, the Sentry SDKs are integrated into an app's code, and this allows Sentry to collect data. This data can include errors, exceptions, and traces. And this data is sent to the Sentry server, and it's basically organized based on different patterns. Developers are then notified when things go wrong, and the frequency can really depend on how you integrate Sentry and different settings that you can toggle. There's several competitors for Sentry. Some that I can just call out are Rollbar, AppSignal, but Sentry is honestly the most popular. It's very user-friendly, and it really focuses on providing context to different errors. Currently, we have Sentry configured for Next.js, and it handles both front end and back end errors, and those are being captured within Sentry right now. Here's an example of one of those backend TRPC errors. I've obfuscated the code, but this is just a high-level overview of what that would look like. That earlier error list, this is what you see after you click on one of those errors within the dashboard. Sudhanshu is on the call right now, but he had some really great suggestions that we would like to work towards with Civic. We'd like to, amongst other things, create the ability for Sentry to notify the team on Slack. That'll be very useful for us. And if you'd like to take a look at it later, this is just some of the doc information for implementing that feature. Here's some sources. And I will open up the floor to any questions. I'll try my best, but I'm pretty new to Sentry myself, so I might punt it off to someone else.
Katrina, can you put that link in the chat?
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, I want to see that.
Um,
That would
okay.
be cool. That would be really cool to have Sentry send messages to the Slack when something goes wrong in the code. Is that am I understanding this correctly? Or when something or is it when a user has an error? Yeah, help me out here, Katrina.
Yeah,
Where
so the
exactly
idea
does
is eventually, I mean, people might be on call. So if there's an error in the app, we would get Slack notifications in Slack. And then if it's actually a production system, like engineers will get notifications to fix it immediately.
so
Um,
this is like we would know even before the user knows if there's an error, or maybe it's happening at the same time, or like
their actions would be what causes the error that we would then get triggered about.
oh, okay. Okay. Makes sense.
But there can also be fallbacks in the system to prevent complete. app breakdown from the user's perspective.
That's cool. I mean, I think this is something like this is great for me to have in my arsenal of just things to say to people on the hill when they, yeah, Sudhanshu, you like that? When like, so one of the things that concerns members like a chief of staff of a congressional office is they're like, all right, we've got the status quo with Leidos IQ or Firestarter Indigo. It's a risk for us to switch to Civic because we've done it, in one case in an office that I know, and they switched from IQ, this is a Senate office, switched from IQ to Indigov, and then they switched back to IQ 2 months later because Indigov was like buggy and slow, and they had poor customer service. And so to be able to tell an office, hey, we're using Sentry in our system, so we will know we have someone thankfully they're only going to be working from 9 to 6 in a congressional office. They don't do late hours for the most part, at least not in the office. So we can tell them, you know, during your working hours, we will get a notification when something goes wrong and we will address it immediately. So this is helpful for me. Thank you, Katrina.
Yeah.
Sudhanshu, you have any thoughts or comments?
No, I think it looks exciting, and obviously there's this part of where you can see things are breaking, you get alerts to Slack. Also, there are a few dials you can push, like in normal course of operation, things will break eventually. Like, so software is supposed to be perfect, but maybe if you're saying like 10 errors of this and let's say 5 minute duration, you want to alert something like that. So you can start with like a blanket rollout, then fine tune it to see, hey, this is too much for us, or it's just showing garbage errors, things like that. So you can push it like pretty far with customization. So a good start would be just putting it in.
Nice to know you. Katrina, where does Sentry come from? Maybe I missed it, but who built Sentry?
Um, I want to say it was a group of, this is just from skimming the docs, but I think it was a group of at least like 5 to 6. At least it was like a bunch of people. It started out as open source software, so I assume people contributed to it, but I honestly don't know a lot about the initial history.
Okay.
But
Sudhanshu,
Yeah.
I can totally get back to you on that one.
do you have
No,
any
no, no.
thoughts
No, it's
on
not.
Sentry versus the alternatives like Datadog?
Sorry?
I was Sudhanshu, do you have any thoughts on the alternative, the choice between Sentry and other competitors like Datadog?
Um, I think for error monitoring or tracking, Sentry is what you want. I think they are the de facto standard in a way. Like obviously Datadog will also have support for Next.js, things like that, because Next.js is so popular, but for the price and things like that, I think Sentry is like way to go. Until unless you're going into the container and cloud world, I think Datadog is not something that you need, or Datadog solution specifically. That is much more comprehensive and much more infra focused.
By the way, I'm asking ChatGPT o3 Mini right now about Sentry. Let's see what it says. Who built it? Originally developed by the team at Sentry. Okay. Do I have this? Hold on. Sentry is a popular open source error tracking. Yeah, this is throwing. Um, David Kramer. Do we know David Kramer? Julian, who is that? All right. Julian will get back to us on that. As an internal tool before evolving into a standalone open source project. Okay, so they built it for themselves and then they rolled it out. Came out in the late 2000s, emerged publicly as an open source project in 2012. Interesting facts. All right, here we go. Multi-language support. It's not limited to one language or framework. Originally built in Python with a Django backend, but it now supports a wide range: JavaScript, Ruby, Java, PHP, C, C plus. Um, that's cool. Real-time insights, we know that now. Scalable, okay. Evolution beyond error tracking. All right. So while its roots lie in error monitoring, Sentry has evolved to include performance monitoring and application performance management. Okay, that's what you said, Katrina. Cool. All right, that's it for me.
Anyone have any more questions? Frank, Rohan, Anthony?
I have no questions on my end. It's pretty straightforward. Sentry is one of those great tools, that I've seen used in the industry, and I'm excited to work with it. So there's nothing much else on my end, at least. Not sure if the other guys have anything else they want to say.
You definitely just
Yeah.
sorry, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, Frank.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say how, yeah, no, sounds exciting to use. Yeah.
Yeah, I just have a question, I guess, on how it uh do you have to like put in emails and then like or how does it work? Does it just message you through Slack or is there other options? Like can they email you too? Can they send you a text message in case you're not readily available on Slack for I don't know, for any reason?
Yeah, it's currently set up for emails, so I've confirmed that it's being sent to our Civic email. But ultimately we want to work towards Slack. I'm not sure if it uses text message. That would be really cool. Do you know, Sudhanshu?
I think you can integrate with things like PagerDuty, which is like a notification service kind of a thing. So let's say you are seeing 100 errors in last minutes or so, then you get an alert on PagerDuty. It's basically a pager or app that you install your phone and it ignores all your DND settings and just blazes an alarm. So you can do stuff like that to make it much more annoying.
That's cool. Thank you.
Do we don't have to pay for this, do we?
So there are free options, but yes, you can pay for it for more features.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Damn. It's
I
not
think
as
they have
cool
a
as I thought.
very generous free tier.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good. That's good. Um,
Well,
cool. All
that's
right.
actually kind of where you came in a little bit, Sudhanshu, with some input because with emails, of course, you're receiving a lot of data and a lot of data is flowing through Sentry. So I think you had the idea that you take a sample of the logs as opposed to all of them, right?
Yeah. So I think you want to collect all the logs, but with Sentry, what it does is, let's say a request hits your backend, it'll keep track of, hey, this request went through here, this function was triggered, things like that. So you'll have all the trace. So by default, it is configured to take all that information and send it to Sentry. So it's counted towards your quota of Sentry usage. So you can do things along the lines of, hey, if there was no error, if the request was completed successfully, there was no exception anywhere, of these kind of things, just give me like 5%. So I can have just performance data or maybe have some normal insights. But if you see error, 100%, just send it to me the entire context. So you can do additional filtering in terms of what kind of data you're sending back to Sentry.
Yeah, I just kind of want to point out the kind of obvious product perspective of, let's say, like there are wildfires going on and the app is getting bombarded by messages, then you need to know the app is down sooner than later because there's like real consequences here. So yeah, definitely very important. Cool. Any final questions for Katrina? Amazing. Yeah, thanks, Katrina, for taking the charge on this and kind of guiding our team to great uh, engineering excellence on this. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Julian and Sudhanshu and everyone else who helped. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Katrina. Really appreciate you stepping up on this one and looking forward to Julian, who's designated for the next one? Have we
yeah,
decided yet?
usually, yeah, do like to end with saying the upcoming schedule. I think that's going to be Abdullah discussing a survey of topic modeling papers. So that'll be exciting.
Cool. Cool.
Awesome.
Katrina, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing rest of your day.
All right. Bye, everyone.